So we are back with Equally Read Conversations, and today we have the lovely Maria Lopez joining us. Thank you so much for coming and sharing a bit of your story with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I was born and raised in Colombia, in a little small town outside of Bogota, Fusagasugá. Grew up there and then moved slowly to the capital city of Bogota. My childhood is not any typical childhood that you might hear about. I've been through a lot of struggles. Obviously, with Colombia, it's a poverty country. It was, I believe, is rising up to be a better country. And we just kind of, it was a childhood of struggling, of hunger or survival. It was just a survival. As soon as I was born into a family that struggled with drugs, addiction, prostitution, and that was my world for 12 years in Colombia. It was basically you were on your own. You had to survive. There was no such a thing as being a child and playing around and knowing a lot of things about colors or what's your favorite toy. It was basically I have to go beg or I have to figure out how to feed myself. So it's definitely something that I don't want, not many people, I don't want any child to go through or even ever experience, or my kids. So it's definitely something that I am very grateful where I'm at now. But it has brought me to a lot of strengths that I have right now I'm just very, very grateful to. My father, Raul Lopez, and my mother, Julia Lopez, were who adopted me. And it was an incredible story. My father actually started having a vision of me as a little girl way before they had their own kids.
Wow.
My dad kept having this vision of a little girl saying, come and get me, come and get me. And they were having a hard time getting pregnant, and they finally got pregnant. And once that vision kept happening, and they kept getting pregnant after pregnant, and my dad, I finally asked, was like, Lord, what is this vision? And that's when the Lord said, you gotta go get her.
And where were your parents at this point?
And here in Nashville. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, they were here in Nashville. My dad actually was born in Cuba, and then came out, met my mom, and then moved to Nashville.
So he kept having this vision in Nashville of a little girl thousands of miles away that he just had to go and get. And
Absolutely.
That little girl was you.
That little girl was me.
Wow. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about what happens when he finally obeys the vision and comes and gets you.
Yeah, he went through hoops to get his certificates and papers just because he escaped Cuba. So he had to get all those legal papers to come and go to Colombia. It took 2 years for them to get me. I knew about them maybe briefly once. They asked me. I was in orphanage in Colombia. I was in foster care, streets, and an orphanage.
Wow.
So at the time that I found out that I was actually getting adopted, they asked me, do you want to get adopted? And I was like, a lot of fear. I was like, no, I don't,
This is what I know, I'll stay here.
Exactly. And so my sister did actually ask me again, took me on the side, and she was like, look, if you get adopted, you actually can have access to the refrigerator anytime you want. And I was like, I'm in. Like, go ahead. Like, I'm adopted. Like, go ahead and take me, like, right now. And so 2 years passed. My parents came to the orphanage where I was. And then that was the very first time I met them. They had a little cake and a Barbie, and I just went straight to that cake and Barbie, and I was so excited. I was like, you can take me whatever you want to do. Just, I got a toy.
Yeah. And so you were 12 at this time?
I was 12 years old. And so as kids, we were homeschoolers. So my mom stayed home and homeschooled all six of us.
Wow. So
we had a packed house for sure, from little diapers to teenagers. My sister and I, we came in with our own baggage,
right.
Our own, darkness, and then my mom and dealing with her own, own children. I mean, we are, but
right. Bringing in new people to the family.
Yes,
though. You become a part of the family.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they love you as their children as much as their biological children. But there isn't that adjustment period.
Big time for all of us.
For
everyone. So it was just an adjustment, and from there on, it was just learning the language and also helping mom. Mom had nighttime jobs cleaning apartments. We would go and help her, or newspaper routes. I would go and help her make my own little money to see how we can help. From there on, it was just we were very blessed. I mean, like I said before, we never went hungry, but we definitely didn't have, the luxury, the wealth, which that's okay. From there on, I saw the work ethic that my parents had, and I took that on my own because of the opportunities here in America. I'm very grateful, going from running businesses in home health. As a 21-year-old, I was running a multi-million-dollar company.
Go girl. Yes. I love that.
Hustling,
Yes.
I love it. I'm eager to just wanting to learn more.
And one thing that I'm hearing as a thread is, even though the first years were so hard, you have chosen to take what you learned of having to survive, having to hustle, wondering where my next meal is going to come from, and turn that into a way to be successful in what you choose to do now as an adult. Yeah, absolutely. And I had to have a goal, and that was, I didn't want my own children, my future children, to go through that. And that I had a reason that I had to continuously work hard for it. And also the victim mentality, I did not want to grab on that. When you go through so much for so many years, you have to try and see what's on the other side, the good side. Right. And you want to inspire and work so hard to get to that point. And that's where I did. I was like, I can no longer be in this victim mentality because no one's going to get me out except for myself, and if I want to give a great future to my children, and I never want them to experience what I experienced, I have to do it. So there was no questions. So let's kind of transition a little bit off of that. So in coming here, you didn't have the typical school experience because you were homeschooled, but what were your experiences in terms of how people received you culturally? Yes. And of course you were struggling with the language and learning that. So what were some experiences that you had there? So as a homeschooler, we did have some type of co-op. So we were surrounded by community and different teachers to be able to be taught. More than anything, I felt the welcome and the warmth. They were so interested and curious. They just brought the questions of they wanted to learn more about my culture, like the food and the language and the music and things like that. So it just brought even more questions because it was just, they were just so interested and they wanted to educate themselves. So I just experienced a lot of just, they just wanted to learn more about the culture, which is beautiful. And I'm all about telling them, and pushing them to try our food because it's the best food. I agree. There has been some talk lately, of course, with things that are going on in the world about Hispanic versus Latina. Yes. And there's confusion that comes with that. I'll admit that there are times I'm confused. I'm like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Yeah. Can you kind of educate us a little bit on the differences between Hispanic and Latina, and maybe why people feel so strongly about the difference? So I actually sent that question to my dad. He's a huge voice for Hispanics, Latinos for Tennessee. And I was like, Dad, what is this like? Can you tell me the definitions of these things? Like, nothing. They're the same. Wow. They really are the same. I think more than anything, it's just trying to create more definitions on the same word and kind of like choose this side. And I think in reality, that's not offensive. The two words are not offensive at all. Good. It's part of our culture. We even use it we use both. Interchangeable. Interchangeable. Okay. So, I wouldn't overthink about it. I would just, it's something that we don't, there's nothing different about. Or there's no difference. Right, yeah. Thanks for clearing that up. So share with us now what you're doing now and some things that I know I'm excited to hear about that you've got on the horizon. So tell us a little bit about that. Well, this is actually the first time I'm actually speaking about it more publicly. But lately in
about 3 months ago, I just kind of share more of my story, specifically dealing with sex trafficking back in Colombia. Obviously, right now it's a $150 billion industry here and I just wanted to bring awareness that it is happening in your circle or even outside your circle. And so I just want to bring in more awareness, starting with my own story, because I've hid it for so many years, just because I wanted to not claim it at all. But about 3 months ago, posted just briefly, bringing more awareness on my social media. And from there on, the Lord has stirred my heart and has brought fire in my heart to be more open and vulnerable with people here. Yeah, just know the one-on-one and being transparent and having them ask questions as graphic as they want to go, or because it's educational. Right. We definitely want to bring awareness more on the. We want to leave prints in hearts. We want to wake up. We want to wake up our communities and really take in the stories to see themselves of that is my kid, you know? And so I am slowly going to be opening up an organization for sex trafficking. My focus is to start here in Tennessee. And I have been beyond blessed of the connections that I've been brought out along the way because of my father. He has already his own organization, nonprofit for Men of Valor. So he has gone through the steps. So he's just been I've been under his wing and I've been learning a lot from him. And right now I'm just going to be meeting with my board of directors, which that's huge to even say. Just it takes a long time, I would think, to find someone who has the passion in their heart to stand for that cause. And that took about a week just to get incredible people, backgrounds of lawyers and finance advisors and private investigators in the business world. So it's just we're all coming together to defeat this cause and going to war, because we are going to be defeating evil. Amen. To save our children.
So what has the response been as you've shared bits of your story, and how have you felt a healing in doing so?
It has been so rewarding. It has been on both ends. I think we with the friendships, it becomes deeper, and you just become closer to being so vulnerable and sharing that story. It's been such an incredible experience for me as well, because it's not coming from a hurt part of my life. It's a healing part of my life. Like, I don't declare it. I am fully living freely. I mean, the Lord has completely healed me, and I'm so grateful for it. And so it comes more from like the passion of like, I gotta go rescue my kids, you know. And so it's been so incredible just educating my inner circle of friends. And that's what I keep being reminded as it starts with your circle of friends, to educate them, to be vulnerable with them, for the awareness to really spread with the heart behind it.
That's beautiful. And I told you earlier, I'm so proud of you for the courage and the confidence to go out at 27 years old and say, I am going to do this. I guess my last question for you is, what changes do you want to see moving forward in the world?
I love to travel. I've witnessed a lot of different cultures, met incredible people around the world. I'm that type of person where it's like, I will go travel by myself anywhere in the world, and I have. And that puts you in a place of like, okay, you're on your own. You really got to go seek locals to kind of help you and guide you. And I just met so many people around the world, Bali and England and Japan. They all have compassion. That is one thing that I want to see more in us, having that compassion and like shifting our hearts when we do have that conversation, because you're welcoming so much love and unity in that. And you're really giving the chance of wanting to learn from each other.
That is beautiful. Well, thank you, Maria, so much for sharing with us. Congratulations.
Thank you again.
We really, really thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.